Thank you for starting the recording. Let me start the video as well. And then I'm going to start by welcoming everybody. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Fernando Parra, and I have the great privilege of being an assistant professor of accountancy at the Craig School of Business, where students prepare to become the next generation of bold, ethical business professionals. I also have the pleasure of serving as the director of our Institute for Family Business, a comprehensive resource center for family businesses in our community, as well as a nexus to connect with our amazing students. As part of our mission to serve as an educational resource, we are offering this webinar in collaboration with CMTC and other approved consultants that will be introduced today. So please stay connected with us for more information on resources for your family business. If you would like to support our mission, become a member by going to www.fresnostateifb.org. Your contributions will be critical to our operations this year. Before we get started, I'd like to invite you to participate in our hashtag Backing Business campaign. The Craig School of Business and the IFB is promoting our local businesses as we rise from the pandemic. Tag us on social media posts and use the hashtag Backing Business in Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn to be promoted on our website, fresno.isbackingbusiness.com. Help us keep our family business community strong, and let's build some excitement around this. I am very grateful to Craig Scharton at the CMTC for their partnership and continuous contribution to our community, especially during this time. I'm also very grateful to our Fresno State leadership, including our interim dean, Julie Olson Buchanan, all of the IFB members, our board, our community partners, and supporters who made this webinar possible. At this time, I'd like to take a minute to let you share a little bit about you so that we can find out who you are and how we can be of better service to you. So please tell us your name, your affiliation, and a fun fact about you. Let me yield the floor. You may have to unmute yourselves in order to do that. So the way I like to do this, if you haven't been called, is to do it in alphabetical order, if possible, or I can just randomly select people if you don't mind, since there's not a whole. Can we start with Kara?
Sure, but I think B goes before D. Ron.
He's in accounting.
Okay. Well, I'm Kara Paraki Douglas, and it's my great pleasure to serve at the university in the capacity of Development Director for the Craig School. And so I've been in this role for 5 years. And I'm really proud of our team. I'm honored to work with our dean and with Dr. Parra and all of our faculty and students. And a fun fact about me, I guess it's fun, is that I am probably the newest member of the empty nesters.
Oh.
I just took my daughter to college, and she's actually living in the dorms at St. Mary's. So tried to strong arm her and keep her in Fresno, but it didn't work. So she's at St. Mary's going to school.
Do you say God is a Gale yet?
God is a Gale. Thank God. God is a Gale. Yes.
Thank you, Kara, for your partnership, and thank you for that fun fact. Best of luck to your daughter, of course. Let me go to the next. I'll try to go alphabetically if I can. So Abigail, if you can, or Abigail, I'm sorry, if you can join us, please.
Okay, hi guys. So I'm a Fresno State student. I am actually doing an article for one of my classes, for my writing classes, a journalism class. We were instructed to go to an event and report on it, and so this was an event that fit my time schedule, so I'm kind of just here to observe. I'm political science and advertising major, so I'm just kind of here to see what this is all about, basically.
Great, nice to have you. Thank you for joining us. Let me go to Anmar. Is Anmar here with us? Yes.
Hi everyone. I wasn't kind of paying attention in the beginning. Are we just doing introductions right now?
Yeah, we're just doing introductions, Anmar. So, are you in my class?
Yeah. So I'm in Dr. Para's 12 o'clock class on Mondays and Wednesdays, and I just saw the invitation you sent out, so I thought I'd check it out. I spared, you can always spare some time, so that's all I'm here to do.
It's nice to have our students join us. It's always important to make sure that we are making that connection with our professionals. So thank you for joining, Amara. You're doing the right thing.
You're welcome.
So let me see if I can go to the next person. I have Ileana Perez or Jaime Casillas. I have Jean Adams as well. Do we have the Hinshaws? All right. How about I see somebody with the letters. Olga Martinez. I think she's an owner of Olga Martinez's self-entered. I'll let her introduce herself. Let me jump to Prince. Prince, would you mind sharing your fun facts with us, please?
Fun facts. Oh my goodness. I speak Igbo language and I work in healthcare. I'm currently a student also of organizational psychology with Align International University. I'm doing my doctorate. I'm currently in class for qualitative research. So I have to log in for class at 7 p.m.
And you were mentioning that you were starting an organization. Is that right?
That's correct, sir. So the organization I'm trying to start is called New Heaven Healthcare Solutions, and it's tailored to target a lot of pharmacists who will be expanding their care to even provide testing and also help with collaborating healthcare for those who cannot afford insurance with doctors. That way they can actually take medical plans and doctors can give prescription, and then the pharmacist will help walk the patient through the steps and also relates to them in their own language.
That's great. Well, I appreciate you joining us. I hope the IFB and our panelists are able to support your mission as well. Thank you once again, Prince.
Thank you so much.
May I ask Peter Estes, please, to join the floor?
Yeah, are you guys able to hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, so my name is Peter Estes. I'm the owner of Valley CAD, and we're a mechanical engineering and product design firm based in Reedley. We're also a SolidWorks value-added reseller. We're the only reseller based in the Central Valley, and the only way you can purchase the software SolidWorks is through a company like us. I also am the owner of another family business called The Modern Chisel. We do modern wood decor and design in that business. Fun facts about me. I come from a musical family, and I was trained on 14 different instruments, but consistently play about 5 or 6 instruments.
That's very impressive.
Thanks.
Very impressive. Peter, welcome to this session, and thank you for joining us once again.
Thank you. Yep, glad to be here.
Let me go to, I think I had asked, is it Shauna? No. Yeah, Shauna.
Hi, I'm Shauna Glazner with the Fresno Regional Workforce Development Board's Business Services Center. I see a lot of familiar faces. A fun fact about me, I'm sure there are plenty, but I would say I am the mom of a senior in high school right now. So she is not loving her senior year, but she is taking this opportunity to work. She has ambitions of becoming a veterinarian, so she hustled and is now working for a veterinarian closer to home, and we will now have free care for our cat. So I guess that's my fun fact.
Well, keep us posted when she graduates soon, so that we may have a good vet for our puppies here. our furry loved ones.
Yeah, Palm Bluff is wonderful. I just have to throw that out there.
Great.
For
Great.
anyone here in Fresno.
That's wonderful. Well, I'll ask again for a full referral in a minute. So once again, welcome to the seminar and welcome and thank you for being here. Let me recognize Weston at this time.
Hello. My name is Weston Taylor. I'm one of Dr. Paro's students. I'm in his Management 110 class. And aside from just trying to garner some general knowledge about starting up local businesses for my own personal, not appeasement, own personal pursuit, I guess. A fun fact would have to be that I might have to leave in the middle of this call because my sister could possibly be giving birth.
Oh, wow. That's exciting. We won't hold it against you. Congratulations on being on having a nephew. Was it a nephew or a niece?
It's going to be a niece.
Oh, that's
All
wonderful.
right.
Wonderful. Well,
right.
Congratulations once again, and thank you for joining us. Let me
Thank
also
you.
invite Tacit to say hello, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tazid. I'm actually a recent alum. I graduated in May. My major is accounting. My major was accounting. I'm still getting used to the graduate life, I guess. Dr. Para was my professor, and I'm currently working for the Gazarian Real Estate Center and the IFB on campus. One quick fun fact about me is I am a published photographer, and I love race cars.
It's great. We love having you, Tacit. Thank you so much for all of your support. And I think we're missing Sarah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zara, and I'm one of Professor Para's students. I have accounting, information systems and controls with him, and I'm just here to learn more about everything in this seminar. So it's a pleasure for me to be here. But due to an emergency that I have because of a work and a deadline to meet, I maybe have to leave in about an hour, if that's okay with you all.
No problem. No problem. Thank you for joining us once again.
Sure, thank you.
And I'll get the pronunciation better by before the end of the semester, I promise.
Oh, it's okay. Thank you.
All right. Well, at this time,
Dr. Para, I think you got muted.
I did.
Yeah.
I muted myself. So let me try that again. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce a gentleman with very impressive credentials from CMTC. Craig Scharton is CMTC's Client Advisor for the Central San Joaquin Valley. Craig is a native of Fresno and has been a restaurateur, commercial property owner, an elected official, an economic development department director, a downtown revitalization manager, a Fresno State Adjunct Professor, and many more, right? Craig's primary professional interests are in locally focused economic development, as well as downtown and neighborhood revitalization. So he will be joined today by three outstanding resource delivery experts, Tim Nightingale, Catherine Fitzgerald, and Ron Beglin. So let me turn it over to Craig. I'm sorry, yes, it's all yours.
All right, I'm going to switch and share my screen here. And this worked when we practiced, so let's see if it works now. Hey, how about that? All right. So thank you so much for having me. I think, you know, as people in Fresno, we know that we can be very hard on our place sometimes. And so I think a lot of times we forget to recognize some of the really great things that happen here. And I don't know if people realize how cutting edge it is to have this Institute for Family Business doing really important work in a field that's not being done in other universities. So this is a really very cutting edge thing that our local university has done. And I think we should always acknowledge those positive steps that people have taken to help our community grow. So people have come from all over to participate with this Institute for Family Business. It's a very common type of business structure. It's a very difficult sometimes business structure. And it's really nice to have that extra level of support, especially in the Valley where we tend to grow and stay and want to pass things on to future generations. And also doing the research to help everyone be more successful. So I want to take the time to acknowledge that. As Dr. Parra said, I am a Fresnan. I really enjoy, my slides aren't advancing, of course. Isn't that fun? Next slide, that's not going to be the way to do it, but that's the only key that's working. So I've been really involved with helping local businesses. That's really what I care about. I had a restaurant. We served local food, local wine, local beer. I worked with downtown businesses to try to help them, Tower District. It's really the way to grow your economy is to support locally owned businesses. Because not only are you creating and helping with jobs, but you're also keeping the profits in, which is really how you grow your economy, and also the amount of ancillary business services that every single business uses. So if we have a company that's growing here, they're using local caterers, web developers, HR professionals, lawyers, accountants, you name it. So, and they're also contributing back more to their churches, nonprofits, schools, and other community-based organizations. So that's what I love, and that's why I like what I do. So who is CMTC? CMTC is a statewide nonprofit. We focus on California manufacturers, the small guys, the ones that usually get overlooked. Every state, and Puerto Rico has one of us. So every state has a nonprofit set up to help small and medium-sized manufacturers. We've been around since President Reagan. I always like to remind our students there was a Republican president and a Democratic senator together. I know that's a hard concept, but both parties worked together to create these entities to help our manufacturing sector. It was undergoing a lot of troubles at the time with businesses being offshored, and a lot of businesses hadn't invested in themselves, so they had antiquated equipment, and there were lots of problems in that sector. But now we see it growing again. There are about 60 employees at CMTC. We also use about 150 consultants around the state, so it's not just the employees going out and working with the businesses. And in this case, I've taken extra care to find local consultants. So again, thinking of that economic development, if we're bringing a grant in to help a business, I want the person who helps that business to be another local consultant. So we're not just sending our money to LA or San Diego or San Francisco consultants. We've got great, smart, well-experienced people here. And a lot of what we do is connect people to federal, state, and local resources. And we'll get to that in just a moment. And so a fun thing to think about for me, I generally start with is what is a manufacturer? Because I think most people conjure up an image of smokestacks and conveyor belts, and it certainly is that, but it's really a much broader definition of people that are making products that are sold off-site. So in the top left corner, you can see a spring being made. That's sort of traditional manufacturing, what we would think of. This is a client of ours called Betts Springs. And they've been a California manufacturer since before the earthquake in San Francisco. And was that 1907, Ron? You were old enough to remember that. So they actually were a Midwestern company, and there were no spring companies for all the carts and the trains and all of those things. So they put all their equipment on a barge. They sailed all the way around the Cape, and they moved their business to San Francisco, but they're in Fresno now. On the bottom left, we have a manufacturer who she runs a marketing company by day, and she has a passion for making these candles. And she made a line of candles geared toward the COVID self-quarantine and shelter in place. And she just recently was on the Today Show and got so many orders that it actually crashed her website. But it is called Scent and Fire Candle Company, if you want to look that up. In the top right, we have Engelmann Cellars. You might not think of a winery, but they're a manufacturer. They're taking these products and they're changing it and creating a new product out of it. And Brett Engelmann is a local winemaker that's won a lot of awards. And he was in the first class of winemakers to come out of Fresno State's enology program, the winemaker program, that has won so many awards and created so many great winemakers all over the world. On the bottom right, we have Raffio Chocolate. This is kind of a fun one. They're over by the Fresno State campus at First and Barstow. And they've another international award-winning company. But they had, when they opened their business, put themselves down as a retailer because they're selling chocolate. But what they forgot was that they're also a manufacturer because they're making the chocolate from the cacao beans, from the very raw resource, and turning it into this fantastic chocolate. So if you're by the campus, go by there and buy some chocolate from them. It's really fantastic. And it's all single origin. So you can taste what chocolate from Madagascar compared to chocolate from somewhere in the Caribbean or South America. It all has different flavors from around the world, just like wine does or other food products. So, and then right in the middle, Stoned Custom Fab. That is a local mechanic, and he makes one particular part in his mechanic shop, and it is a part that people who lower trucks use, and he just sells those nonstop. And he's kind of a celebrity. You wouldn't know it when you look at him in his shop, but if you go to the car show in Las Vegas, he is up on the main stage and he'll do a post and get 17,000 likes on his Instagram account. So it's just funny how many of these manufacturers are hidden around our community. It can be a home-based cottage food industry, or it can be Pelco. All right, it decided to go forward. We do have COVID-19 resources. We did get extra funding through the CARES Act to be able to help our small and medium-sized manufacturers. We have two outstanding consultants, one in the accounting field and one who has built and operated plants around the world, was on the ground floor for Netafim, the largest drip irrigation company in the world that has its Western headquarters in Fresno. And he's retired here. So he's available if people want help with operations. We also have Mike Goosen, who's taught at Fresno State, who's a CPA, MBA, and is the CFO for multiple companies. So we have really top level resources to be able to go in and help businesses know where they are and where they need to go so that they can emerge from the pandemic, hopefully more successful. We have a lot of safety training. That's a really big issue right now. Cal OSHA has come out with their safety requirements relating to COVID-19. And we're helping. We have free webinars, but we also have people that even go in the shops and help tell you what you need to do before the Cal OSHA inspector gets there and you get fined. It's always better to get ahead of that curve. Another thing that really, if you're an entrepreneurial type person, to keep your eye on is, for decades we were sending work and companies and jobs overseas. And what happened with the pandemic is these supply chains got interrupted and people needed a part that used to be made in China and they couldn't get it. And now they're looking for people that are nearby to make those parts. And so we're helping all through the supply chain to help people get the part or the equipment or the manufacturing done here, which is really pretty exciting for our local manufacturers and our local economy and employment outlook. We also have a new grant. Nobody knows about this yet except for you guys on this webinar. There are only going to be 100 of them, and it is going to be to do training for employees who are either new employees or have been rehired to come back to work. And the employers are actually going to get paid. And there are only a few different categories, but the food industry is one of them. So please help me to spread the word about these things. If you know anyone in the food manufacturing business, make sure that there are going to be 100 grants statewide, and my goal is to get 100 of them in the San Joaquin Valley. I do care about the other places, just not as much. Let's see. So we do a whole bunch of things at CMTC. I won't go through them all, but just kind of gives you a list of some of the things that we are really good at. And again, we mostly use these consultants like the ones you're going to meet in a little bit. But if you want to do lean manufacturing, or if a small business is really unsure about where their finances are, or they don't know how to read the information that their accountant gives them, which is very common for you accounting students and professors, to know it's not enough to do someone's taxes and then hand them over to sign them. You have to explain to them what's going on in their business, because they're going to pretend like they know, because all business people feel like they inherently should understand this information, and they don't. So they're going to thank you and give you a check and go on, but they're not going to have that important financial information to help them steer their business. So you can really help them with that. And we use a lot of consultants to go in and recategorize things, but mostly to teach people, you know, they might be promoting a product that loses them money when they have another product that makes them money that they're not posting on social media or putting in a prominent display on their website. We have some really great marketing, again, using local people. We have a manufacturer right now that because of COVID, they realized they had never done direct sales. They have about 3,000 different parts. And how do you put that on a website? Well, we have great local website developer who's taken their database and given them an online store. There also, we have people that are now making PPE, the personal protective equipment. They weren't doing that before, and so they need a new web page or a new social media campaign to help them sell their masks or face shields or plexiglass dividers. So we have a lot of those things. We do a lot of food certification. If you are making a food product and you want to be able to sell it to a grocery store, they're going to require a certain level of safety certification, or they're not going to buy it. So we can help you get to that level, which then opens up new markets for you. Same with ISO, is just a certification to let you know that your product is going to do what it says you're going to do, and it's going to be at a quality that's going to make the retailer and the customer happy. Let's see. So what we try to do is wherever we can, if there's a business that we're working with that wants consulting or wants to train their employees, we try to find a resource to either reduce or eliminate that cost. We don't always, because it won't always fit, but where we can, we do. So we have just a couple of examples of programs that we use. If it's a small manufacturer, less than 20 or so employees in the San Joaquin Valley, they can get 24 hours of free consulting, again, with marketing, financial, understanding their finances, HR compliance, which is a really big one for a lot of our businesses. And we pair them with a resource so that they can get that help that they need. We work, Shauna's on the line here, and you mentioned Eric earlier. We work hand in glove with the Fresno Regional Workforce Development Board, specifically on a program called Incumbent Worker Training, which means that there are funds to help train existing employees so that they have the ability to maybe get a promotion or a higher wage, or if things go wrong and sour with that company, that they're going to be able to be re-employed more quickly because they'll have additional skills. And so it's a really great program. There's another brag about Fresno as our local regional workforce development board here is more business focused than any of the others around the state that I'm aware of. And so they really like putting these resources into our businesses. I noticed there was another gentleman who introduced himself earlier that was in healthcare. If it's a Fresno County healthcare business, they also really prioritize the businesses in health as well as manufacturing. So it's something, I don't know how many businesses Sean and I have worked with in Fresno County, but I'd say it's probably, I don't know, 15 or so where we've gotten really good training to help these businesses and help their employees. So it's really nice because we're giving that benefit, you know, helping the business and helping the employees with the same resource is a real win. We also get an allotment of ETP funding, which means that as a business, that first $7 that you pay in your employee tax to the state goes into a training pool, and we get some of that money, and then we use it to reduce the cost for our businesses to train their employees. We did one recently where the employees needed to be trained on a computer software. So the trainer, we set it up and we reduce the cost to the employer to be able to implement that training. SB Tape, that's a weird government name, but it allows us to do consulting projects, but not just consulting like, let me tell you how to do something. It also can be that website, or it can be developing a new software or finding a way to automate. It's actual hands-on, tangible. We want good things to come out of this for the business. And then we almost always recommend R&D tax credits, and we'll talk about that a little bit and why I think that's an important one for the Institute for Family Business. Okay, so I didn't want this to be all about me and CMTC because when I say consultants, it doesn't really mean anything unless you get to meet our consultants and have an idea of what they do and how it might be valuable for your business. But I chose 3 specific fields of consultants that we have that I thought would be especially valuable to family-owned businesses. I hope Tim is on here. I haven't seen his name yet. Tim, are you on?
Yes, he joined.
Okay, good. All right. I don't get to see all the names at once. So I particularly chose Tim as one of our 3 examples of our local consultants because of the dynamics in any business or large organization are always interesting. But as you can imagine, family-owned businesses bring in a whole different dynamic. We all have families. We know how those dynamics can be. And then if you put that into a workplace, it can be even more complicated. Not always. I know some that work really well, but I certainly know plenty of family businesses that have a variety of challenges that are maybe more extreme than just the normal business challenges. So I thought what Tim does would be especially interesting for you. So Tim, can you give us a couple of minutes to go through what you do? And then we'll also talk about you being next month's featured speaker at the Institute for Family Business.
Yeah, thank you, Craig. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, good afternoon. So one of the things that I like to talk to my clients about is what it looks like when we take these really positive pre-existing practices. And what I mean by that is if you work with your family or you have a team that is performing really well, that means you have positive pre-existing practices in the areas of respect, trust, decision-making, and outcomes. And so when you take a look at those 4 areas, respect, trust, decision making and outcomes. And you start asking, how can you be at your best and your teammates be at their best in each of those areas? And that's true for families, that's true for business, that's true for employment. And so what I do is I talk with leaders about this. And when the leaders begin to start using these activities or these conversations, then they're ready to take their team through it. And then when their exec team has gone through it, they're ready to lead their organization through it. And I'll just quickly say, you know, my clients through this COVID time, they tell me, Tim, we've had to make more decisions in 1 week than we made in the previous year. And every decision impacts one part of the business or another. And when you look at those impacts, you start asking the questions, okay, how did people make sense of this? How was this good? How was this bad? What did it mean for them? And I just said to one of my clients, I said, you know, why don't you check back in with your employees and those that you're connected to and say, hey, how has this been going for you? Just ask that question. And it makes a big difference for family too, because sometimes we think we know because they're in our family. But if you just pause and say, how has this been for you? If you're recognizing that in a week you made more decisions about your business than you did the previous year, then, and you think about everything that means for you, it probably means something equivalently or more for every other person it impacts. So I said, why don't you just call everyone up and say, how has this been for you? And he told me, he said, you know, I never knew what everyone else was going through. And they didn't know what I was going through. And when we were able to talk about it, it was just really positive for us. So next month, I'll be going through those 4 steps with whoever joins the webinar: respect, trust, decision makings, and outcome. And I really look forward to sharing about that, some stories in each area, some teaching points and lessons, and then connecting further as that makes sense to each of you.
Yes, that's really great. And I want to acknowledge Tim. You know, there was a really big thing about conflict resolution, you know, a few years back, and everyone was doing conflict resolution. And then it moved a little bit toward conflict prevention. And Tim has even gone further upstream than that, which is if you get these pieces in place and create a culture that operates this way, you're not going to have to do all that other stuff when everything is already high drama and caused a lot of emotional and energy damage and outcomes, right? So that's a really good way for businesses to get ahead of it. One of our clients who we worked with them was a fairly new business, and they were just really clear that we know that these cultures and businesses can get weird over time, and we want to do everything we can up front to be able to make sure that this is a great workplace. So really great to have you, and I will be attending that workshop next week or next month as well. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Craig.
Let's see, who do we have next? Oh, that looks like Ron Beglin, you are up.
Hello, my name is Ron Beglin. Yes, this does look a little unique. So we had a different translation on our software from one to the other. So, but I'm the owner of R&D Tax Incentives. We're based here in Fresno. And what we do is we work directly with manufacturers, software developers, any companies that actually create a product, create a new process, any computer software, any new technique, formula, or invention. Basically, what we do is we're experts in tax credits. And what we do is we actually do the vetting for businesses. So we're able to actually lower businesses on their tax, what they would pay to the IRS and to the Franchise Tax Board for California. And it's actually a retroactive tax credit, so we can actually infuse money back into the businesses if they actually qualify for that. So what we do, we have CPAs and tax attorneys that actually will vet the actual project, will go through and do the actual complete vetting to make sure that the company will qualify. And then we provide the actual CPA and their CPA that would file their tax returns to actually recover any of the taxes that have been paid in the prior years. So we're a firm that works directly with anybody that would actually do this, and we partner with a lot of CPA firms here in the Valley because we are a specialist, and we actually go through and we process this for the actual employer and actually help them reduce what their actual taxes would be.
And for family businesses, Ron, I mean, a lot of the tax savings can roll up to the owners, right?
Absolutely. Depending on what the tax structure of the entity, if they're a pass-through tax entity, it's one benefit is, and I had a company that we had worked with that he had actually recovered almost over, or a little over $2 million as a refund check back from the IRS and from the Franchise Tax Board. It actually went to the owner. So it's a great way to infuse cash back into the business. Little caveat that was really nice is that the person that we worked with to perform this project for, he actually started a scholarship fund for his employees' kids for college. So he actually infused the money back to his employees. So it was a fantastic scenario that worked out well for everyone.
Great. Thank you, Ron. All right, Catherine.
There we go. Hi.
There you are. Everyone's excited to see you because, as I mentioned, the different PowerPoint versions changed everything.
Yeah.
So they're getting to see them for the first time. So it's a little bit different, but yours aren't too bad.
Yeah. So I'm Catherine Fitzgerald, and I am, for all intents and purposes, a native. I've lived here since I was 3.5. And I've worked in several different industries, not as many as Craig, though. I have to say he takes the cake. I've been coaching for about 2 years, and I was formerly an employee at Fresno First Bank, and I did the payments for Fresno State. So I've actually worked with Fresno State as well. So if anywhere they take credit cards on campus, I have been, even though I was not a graduate. So I take a lot of ownership and pride in Fresno State as well. And specifically, Fresno First Bank was what we call a great game company. And what that means really is it was employee owned, but it was an open book management company that allowed all the employees to know the financials of the company and to work towards the goals of the company, realizing that when they thought, act, and felt like an owner, they made decisions that secured not only their own future, but the company's future as well. And so what I gained from that was a real love for great game, because I saw how it could transform lives and really help people. So when I left the bank, I decided that this was my chance to really get certified and do what I really passionately believe in. My journey through many different businesses also led me to be the executive director of Catholic Charities for the Diocese of Fresno for 5 years. And as I did that, I passed out, bags of food and little bits of help here and there, but it was not the solution. And the line never got smaller. And what I really truly believe is that when people are given financial information and taught how money flows, they can take that information home. So that's part of the process of the great game. What you see here before you in this slide is we have, gamified business just to make it easier to understand. And we kind of take that theme all the way through. And so annually, we go out to the world and all of the different practitioners and invite them to apply for our all-star team. So this year we have 29 organizations that are all-stars. from 19 states and 3 continents and 4 different languages. And so I wanted to highlight the things that they have accomplished to give you an idea of how being an open book company creates alignment, engagement, and real momentum towards making changes. There were 22 industries represented in our All-Stars, and significantly in a downturn situation, we were able to preserve 3,388 jobs, and collectively their total revenue is about $957 million. And they range from a 1.3 size budget to a nonprofit, at a nonprofit, to 258 million in a for-profit company. So we work in social sector, nonprofit, government, and for-profit, obviously, and education. So we preserved 99.9% of those jobs during the COVID crisis, which we felt was, to have 3 layoffs out of all those employees was pretty impressive. And
yeah, I think that's really great. And the tie-in to me for having Catherine here as well is that for family-owned businesses, this can be a really great for them thing to do. But I know that also succession planning is a big thing in family-owned businesses. Sometimes the kids don't want to take over the business, or it's being split into a lot of pieces and nobody knows who's going to take it over. If they go to an ESOP or something where people actually, the employees do become owners, that always seemed to me like it was only halfway. It's like getting everyone to go, okay, you're now an owner, get back to work and keep doing what you've always been doing. What Catherine does is it really teaches them all to actually be an owner, think like an owner, be looking for ways to save money, being out promoting the business, treating each other, as really highly respected peers and colleagues. I mean, it's just phenomenal. And the results that generate from that system, when they really understand what a business is and why they're working that drill press, those long hours to try to get customers their products, it makes a huge difference. The return to the business is gigantic, and then the businesses also, the employees also have a great outcome potential.
And I wanted to add one more thing, and that is that the Great Game of Business was born in a manufacturing plant in the Midwest in the early 1980s, actually 1983 to be technically correct. And the last slide, I'm hoping, if you have one more, do you have one more or not? Okay, so I'll just tell you verbally. The All-Stars.
I do.
Oh, good. Because that's the punch. Okay. So the rookies of the year managed to get 25% greater than their industry benchmarks in their annual growth of net profit. And over the last 2 years, the All-Stars have seen an average growth in the longtime practitioners of 6 times greater than the industry benchmark, which is actually 125%. The rookies were at 692% almost. And then for the last 2 years, the social sector has increased their budget. And when they increase their budget, that means that they have also saved on operations, and they have been able to expand and sustain their services. So at 13.26%. So those are the results of our All-Stars, and they're not, the average of all companies that play the game, but I can tell you from my experience that it is a significant increase above the benchmarks in their industry always. The other little piece that I would add is that it's not a requirement to be an employee-owned company to play the great game. We have many, as I mentioned, nonprofit, education, government, where they do not have that luxury. And we have a lot of for-profit companies that use the great game, but they share a stake in the gain or the outcome above their profitability, but they're not an employee-owned company. We have partners that we work with, and I can certainly help people if they're interested in employee ownership. But the big thing for me is helping to give people a voice and have them understand as a person in a company who maybe is in a top-down environment, that they have a perspective that gives value to the company. And when they play the game, they learn to use their voice and their, as I call it, their financial glasses they put on to look at their job and see, how can I make it better? How can I make it more efficient? How can I make it more profitable to the company? And then speak their truth. So that's me.
Thank you. So, so again, my point in having them come is just to see that, you know, consultant is sort of a generic word, but when you see that we have this breadth of people here that are really passionate and really knowledgeable in their fields, and that we can help deploy them to our local businesses, our local manufacturers in this case. And then we also have ways to reduce that cost. So, for example, Tim has worked with a small business that we have, and they use the grant for 24 hours of free time to make sure that the leadership and the employees were used for that. We also worked on a bigger proposal with a company to teach all of the leaders in a large company in a way that then they could teach the people that worked in their teams for that. With Catherine, you know, it can be expensive for some of these businesses to really go through this process. You can see that it's going to generate results, but sometimes you don't feel like you have the resources to invest to get the big results you want down the road. And we have some grants that can help, say, the manufacturers in the 60 to 80 employee or 40 to 80 employee range in the San Joaquin Valley, which takes a big chunk of the businesses that we have. Probably the vast majority are 80 employees or less, by far. So we want you to know there are resources there, but we also want you to know there are additional resources that can quite often reduce the cost to our businesses, because we want to get more of this knowledge out to them. And that's really what drives us. You know, the San Joaquin Valley has been historically a place where we are great at bringing ourselves up by the bootstraps, and we're very proud of our independent nature, and we don't need anybody coming in here to tell us how to do things. And I like that about us. That could be taken advantage of and learning from and helping our businesses to connect. I'm freezing up. Am I good? All right. The thing just came on that said my internet is unstable. I wasn't frozen on that. So the way to proceed with this is, if you want to contact me, I am easy to find. You can give me a call or an email or a text. That's my personal cell number, so you'll get me. I just set up a Zoom meeting at this point. If you have a friend that you want to refer over, you can be in on the meeting if you would like, or if you have another client for the people in accounting, for example. If you look at your manufacturing clients, and even though I'm not built like a point guard, I kind of function like one, and my goal is to, one, connect you to the resources that are out there, but also throw the ball downfield to the person who's going to be the best possible fit for you after we've had our initial meeting. I don't cost you anything. I am paid to go out and help businesses, which I feel incredibly lucky to be able to do that. So we want you to take advantage of the resources that are here, and we want to see all your businesses flourish and succeed. How's that, Dr. Parra?
I think that's great. Let me go ahead and unmute myself.
I think you're unmuted.
I am unmuted. Okay, I was just hoping to activate my camera. There you go. Perfect.
There.
Perfect. Thank you so much for, I think that what we can do is make sure that I send your information to the list of attendees. Does anybody have any questions in the audience?
Hello, my name is Prince. I've always had interest in starting a new style of baking in Fresno. I do like empanadas, meat pies, and I want to see what opportunity there is in rolling it out. It's not something that is very common, but it is something that will attract a lot of low-income audience or low-income clients to purchase.
Yeah, well, that's, we really work with people at that level. So we have a variety. The hard part thing becomes choosing the resources that you need. So we have, for example, a really great marketing program. So if you said, I would like to market to all of the, what would be the background for the empanada?
The background will be meeting.
What country? Because they all have different empanadas.
Yes. So my goal is to target the major population that are in Fresno, which is we have a lot of Spanish speakers. We have a lot of Vietnam or Hmong people out there, right. And also a community of Nigerians too out there. I'm from Nigeria, so I'm trying to target at least 3 as a start. And then after that, expand to a bigger community.
So let's just say that you wanted to go into Latino independently owned grocery stores, and you had the ability to deliver within 2 hours of Fresno. We could put together an email list of all of the Latino independently owned grocery stores. We put together the graphics for you, and then we blast that out to all of those stores. And then when people express an interest, we give you that list so that you can contact them and follow up. You'll get about 3 or 4 of those email blasts, and then you would be able to develop new customers. In fact, we have 2 Fresno State entrepreneurs that used that service last year, and it went exceptionally well for them. They got into hotels in Napa and all over the place. It was really incredible. They do a product specifically for hotels. So that's one thing. We have another service where we could help you develop your branding and logo with a local consultant. We have someone who does websites. We have another one who does social media campaigns. So you would get 24 hours as a small manufacturer with any of those services, or you could use Tim, for example, and say, Tim, I want to make sure I'm bringing on 3 new employees. I want to make sure we set up our culture in a way that's respectful and there are good communication systems in place. We also have mechanical engineers. If you wanted to develop a new type of packaging, or and if you needed a specific part or you wanted automation, we have people that can help with that. We even have accountants that would help you set up your online books and teach you how to use that data so that you could find out if you were selling at the right price or if some products were more profitable than others, so you could make good financial decisions. So yeah, we have a lot of support even at that level. We could also introduce you to the Clovis Culinary Kitchen, where they have a program where you can have a certified, health department approved kitchen to start out in, or how to do a cottage food license to get started, or use Pro Culinary, which is a privately owned commercial kitchen incubator over here near downtown Fresno. So a lot of this is connecting with resources, and that's, if there's one thing I could get through to my students when I was an entrepreneurship professor, is there are resources all around you, and entrepreneurs are horrible at finding out what they are and using them, because it tends to be a group of people that really believe they can do it all on their own. And that is crazy. No entrepreneur should misusing any resource that might be available. And you also don't know how long trends are going to happen. And so, you know, pre-COVID, you know, I had all these manufacturers that didn't have time to look at what resources were out there. And then after the fact, they're calling like crazy going, God, I should have had that meeting with you to find out what resources there are, because now I'm in trouble. Well, you don't want to be that person. You want to figure out, put enough time and energy into knowing who's out there. Shauna Glazner, that's on this, focuses on manufacturers. You would want to call her once or twice a year and say, just checking to see what's out there that might be able to help me. Oh, we have a free HR hotline. Well, that's helpful, right? So you need to know about those things. Just like you want to know your banker. Catherine could tell you stories about that. You don't want to just go in and make deposits. You want to know someone's name and know who to email when there's a problem. That's why we like you to use locally owned banks when you possibly can. You want to know your accountant and have those conversations about what should I be doing. So really building these relationships. I know every entrepreneur is busy, but you're not too busy to build these relationships, and they will pay off many, many times in the long run.
Thank you so much, sir. I will be in contact, and as soon as a COVID assignment that I have right now is over, I will definitely activate those resources and put things in place.
Wonderful, wonderful. Anybody else has any other questions? Thank you, Prince. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. If you did not get a chance to join us, you will get an email if you registered, and you should be getting this video pretty shortly here in the next 24 hours. I invite you all to continue to stay connected with the IFB by going to Fresno State ifb.org, which will redirect you to our Fresno State website. Any final words, Craig?
I just, you know, you're the example of taking advantage of your resources. There's a whole department there that is seeking to help family-owned businesses, and if you're a family-owned business, you need to know and find out all of the great resources that you're developing to help them. Find out the data that you're collecting that they need to know about. So again, just take advantage of these things. We're all here to help you. We're weird. We love helping you. So you might as well take advantage of that.
Absolutely right. And one of the things that you'll hear about in our October webinar is going to be our Craig School of Business Consulting Hub, which is part of a bigger umbrella of our Craig School of Business that connects students that are doing their MBA with family businesses and local businesses to help them answer any type of issue. So it's another arm of our Craig School of Business that's actively helping you get to that answer, in addition to all these additional resources. And of course, we want to make sure that you stay connected with us in terms of being able to mentor one of our students. We have our Family Business Student Association that was newly created, and their goal is to connect with family businesses all across the Central Valley to understand what is the difference between a family business and a big corporation, and whether they should be deciding that as their career goals. Some of our students also want to create their own business, want to start their own business, and we have an entrepreneurial center already, the Lyle Center of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and they are connecting with our association as well to make sure that they are getting some advice from you as mentors. So if you're ever interested in participating in being paired with a student for a mentorship program, if you want to start an internship, we have great resources at the Craig School of Business to make that happen as well. Wonderful. Abigail. Yeah, thank you so much. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you very
so much for having us.
Bye.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you so